is a very thin leaf aromatic herb, and if you've ever tried to dry basil, you've probably thrown up your hands in horror. It's really difficult to dry. And I have tried a whole bunch of different ways to dry it. And last year, I actually dried a whole bunch of basil by mistake. It was pretty interesting. I had brought in a fairly big bunch of basil from the CSA, and I was going to make pesto. And I had, just like with the nettle, taken all the basil leaves off the stalks to make pesto. And it was in a big stainless steel bowl. And I got called away, and I didn't get to make the pesto. And I decided not to make it that night. It was just too many other things going on. And so every time I would walk past the bowl with basil leaves, I just kind of did like that with my hands. Just kind of choo-doo, choo-doo, just brush them up in the air. And a whole bunch of stuff happening. And I just really never got around to making the pesto. But every time I walked past the table, I would fluff up the basil leaves, and they dried beautifully. Green, gorgeous, wonderful. The only black spots on them were from where the CSA had rinsed them. And I wasn't going to hand towel dry my basil leaves. I have seen people put them in a plastic bag in the freezer, but they don't stay for very long that way. You usually have to use them up within a couple of months. Of course, the best way to keep your basil is make pesto. The difficulty is that people throw protein-rich things into their pesto, and then they don't have much longevity on it. So when we make pesto, we use herb, extra virgin olive oil, garlic, and salt. That's it. That pesto, put in a narrow jar. In other words, we don't want a jar like this. There's a lot of room for oxidation. We want like a jam jar, or a jelly jar that's kind of thinnish and goes up like that. And with a little head of oil on it, will stay good in the refrigerator for at least 2 years. Sometimes we've kept them up to 4. It will stay good, and I mean good, tasty, delicious, wonderful, in the freezer for up to 10 years. And we've kept it for up to 13. Michael once came back with the entire bed of the pickup truck filled with basil. Which is how we happen to have pesto in the freezer for 13 years. Because we had that, plus we had then each year's new basil, right? So the new basil, we would make pesto, and we'd refrigerate it and use that, and then when we wanted more, we'd get it from the freezer. It took us a while. Right, I think we made about 75 quart bags of pesto. Yeah. Our fingers were black all the way back to here from taking the basil leaves off from the tannins. How are we doing on this? Is this? Are you overloaded with information, or is this helpful? Good. Okay. So I'm going to take the nettle in the house, and I'm going to pour it into the pots of water that we have on the stove. We want to make our nettle soup by putting the nettle into boiling water. This is going to help break open the cell walls. Okay. Who remembers how to get to the wild leeks? Do you remember how to get to the wild leeks? Mary, remember how to get to the wild leeks? What I'm going to suggest is that you stop by the studio and hang up your 2 bunches of nettle, and everybody can look at the push pins, and that you go on and sit in silent communion with the leeks until I get there, because that's a really nice place to be, isn't it? It's a really, really wonderful energy right in that area. So if I could have people just take these buckets where we've collected the stalks, and let's see. Would you be willing to do this, Marika?
I would love to.
Thank you. The buckets need to be pretty filled with stalks. Okay? So you can like add them together. I don't know if we have 1 bucket or 2 buckets or whatever. And then the empty buckets, if you could return them to where we're keeping them there. And the buckets that have nettle stalks, if you could put them by the greenhouse where there's a hose so that they can be easily filled with water. You don't need to fill them with water right now. But if you want to carry the task through to completion, at some point, fill them with water.
Okay.
And if you're not going to do that, just let me know so that I could do it. Does that work out for you?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to take all the nettle in the house and make soup with it and meet you at the leeks. Wonderful. Would you be the scissors collector?
Sure.
You have a nice scissors basket right there. You can put them right in there. There's nothing in your basket, right? Oh, she's got some nettle in her basket. All righty. And there's another one. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that care. You got some nettle. I'll take that. Okay.
Which one do you want to do? Go in with Grandma or go to the leeks patch?
You know, not that it's important. It's getting pretty every day.
She's got our hearts.
That's my grandma.
You want to go see Grandma? Okay, let's do that. Okay, everybody's going to the leaks. Everybody's going to the leaks patch right now. We'll do a little more videotaping later.
To put your cup in the studio or on the deck where you can find it, so you can continue
Workshop
to use
at
that cup.
Susan Weed's
Both are
Live
fine.
Center. There she is.
Hey, green blessings, everybody. Hi, cutie. Can I give you a little kiss over here?
Yay!
Okay, how about if we collect a little bit for me, so that I'm not quite so likely to spill? Oh, yeah, let's put them in the biggest one. Actually, let's keep it in this one. That one is pretty easy to just
Look at this
hang over
nettles
the arm. Look at all
harvest.
this beautiful
My
nettles harvest.
goodness, this is going to be an amazing nettle soup. And we're not going to videotape that because we already did.
And we're going out to the wild leek patch to harvest some wild leeks to put in our nettle soup.
How wonderful. Yummy.
Yummy, yummy, yummy. And you can just turn that basket
Yay.
right over. That's okay.
There we go.
Okay, good,
Okay,
good.
to
So
be
you got
continued.
scissors